But then he comes and sits right next to you this morning. And he says, you, however, are not in the flesh. Verse number 9. But in the Spirit. If, in fact, the Spirit of God dwells in you. The reality of your life is that there is a truth, there is a result, and there's a reality. And the reality is this: you're not in the flesh, you're in the Spirit. If indeed the Spirit of God dwells in you. Secondly, the Spirit is life. He says anyone who does not have the Spirit of Christ doesn't belong to him. But if Christ is in, let me just stop there for a second. He says if you don't have the Spirit, then you're not in Christ. And the only way to get the Spirit is to be in Christ. So if you're in Christ and he crucified flesh on the cross, and it told us last week that we once were of a nature of those who were disobedient, but we're no longer of that nature. He says if you're in Christ, you're in the Spirit, and if you're in the Spirit, you're in Christ. If you don't have the Spirit, then you're not in Christ. If in fact the Spirit of God dwells in you, anyone who doesn't have the Spirit of Christ doesn't belong to him. But if Christ is in you, although the body is dead because of sin, the Spirit is life because of righteousness. Yes. You're not in the flesh. That's your reality. Go to work tomorrow. Drive home today. Understanding I'm no longer in the flesh. I've been fighting a battle with him or her or this or that or this diagnosis or this situation. But I'm not in that. I'm in Christ Jesus who sits in heaven. And brings down all power from heaven above. I'm not in the flesh. The Spirit is life in verse number 10. But if Christ is in you, although the body is dead because of sin, the Spirit is life because of righteousness.
Yes, Lord. Yes.
If the Spirit of him who raised Jesus from the dead dwells in you, he who raised Christ Jesus from the dead will also give life to your mortal bodies. Todd Houston could lose a leg, but he still runs for Jesus. He could lose a leg, but he can still climb the highest mountains. Because his body is dead. His spirit is alive. And when the Spirit is alive, all right, it's not a mountain that Todd Houston, you or me or us can't climb. Amen. If the Spirit of him who raised Christ Jesus from the dead dwells in you, he who raised Christ Jesus from the dead will also give life to your mortal bodies.